This is Who Are We Voting For? Meet the candidates. I put these videos together so you could put a name to a face to the candidates that you're voting for. So we don't go into the voting booth wondering who we're voting for. This is for the voters and not for the candidates, so we are more educated as voters.
I'm Natisha Washington. I am born and raised from Wilkinsburg. I was raised by my mother, who was on Wilkinsburg School Board for probably most of my life, and my father was a probation officer that worked with a lot of youth to transition them back into the community. So I got to learn a lot about youth advocacy when I was younger, but I also got to learn when I was younger how my community was a lot different from everybody else's communities, which fueled my passion along my life to make change in that. So I went to Wilkinsburg High School, graduated top 10 in my class, and was also a junior council member for a short period of time where I learned a lot about advocacy there. But I went on to go to Penn State, where I got my bachelor's in landscape contracting design. I wanted to figure out how can I develop and improve the green spaces that were in my community, and thinking, how is that even possible? So after graduation, I started working in nonprofit work, and I learned about educating the youth, and I learned about developing green spaces for a community in the Hilltop area, where I got to work with Dr. Jamil Bey, who is a head of the Urban Kind that does the Black Environmental Collective. And then I found my way into Homewood, and in Homewood, I learned how to communicate a lot with the community there, because they were very active in trying to solve the issues that they had. And I learned a lot through my junior Green Corps that I worked with at Operation Better Block to develop green spaces, to make a garden, to engage the community in all ages, where I found myself pushing more towards the advocacy world, where I worked at 1PA doing environmental justice work, and then moved to 412 Justice, where I do environmental justice organizing, educating people of all ages all over the county about our environmental issues that we all face. But outside of work, I'm an avid gardener. I have been a master gardener for a long time. I love to grow my tomatoes and show off my plants. I'm a lover of the arts. I'm always, going to different art events, advocating for artists, and I actually just love the community and highlighting the community, going to community events, showcasing all the great stuff we have here, because we do have a great culture here. So I like to enjoy myself with, my friends, my coworkers, and learn about new people and new programs that are around. I'm always trying out a new cafe. I love to get new coffee out of Black-owned business. And I am also a person who loves animals, even though I can't have one in my home. But I love to protect animals, and not in like the environmental way, but just in a way that, they are companions to me, and they help relieve a lot of stress. And I'm a big self-care advocate, do my self-care Mondays every Monday. So I love to spread health and wellness in everything that I do. I believe I should run for Wilkinsburg Council because I have a perspective that I don't think a lot of the people in our space has. I'm a young Black woman that's born and raised in Wilkinsburg that does community engagement for a living. And I'm also a renter that, I have a decent income now, but used to be on the low income spectrum. So I have a personal perspective on what's going on in my community. I see a lot of our roads not getting fixed. I see a lot of resources in the city, but not so much in my community. And when I go and do a lot of my organizing work, I find that there's such a lack of resources, funding, and organization within my community. I think that with my experience, even being inside and outside of my community, I can really change a lot of the issues we have. I've firsthand dealt with a lot of the housing issues that we have in this community. I have nieces that go to the schools here, and I've learned a lot about the barriers in education that happen here with a mother that's on the school board and has been on the school board for all my life. I've learned so much about our education barriers and things that we can do to make life better here. There's a lot of people that are in Borough Council that have been there for a long time, and I'm very appreciative for all the things that they've done. But with a lot of the people here being my age and being my race and being around my income, I think that my perspective and my representation as the person who represents the majority of our population is needed on the Borough Council seat. I think understanding on like a first-hand level, on a front ground level, as a person who door knocks a lot, knowing what the community is actually saying and actually needs is very valuable information that I'm always collecting on a daily basis. I have partners, I have a vast network, I have resources that can come into my community that I want to bring into my community, that a lot of people, because they have their own day jobs. As we know, Wilkinsburg Council seat is not a full-time job, so a lot of people have day jobs. They're not able to gather and research a lot of the information that I can. But as a community organizer, I have the passion and I also have the work ethic and time to research all this information. So I think all of those things combined really makes me valuable in this seat and really brings in a lot of new information that's not already in our community. So there are 3 top skills that I have that I think would be beneficial in my running for the Wilkinsburg Council seat. My first one, being my priority one, is community engagement. I love to engage my community. I like going door knocking, I love canvassing. I do an EJ newsletter for my group currently, and love to share information with my community on not just a group level, but on one-on-one personal level. And I think our community here in Wilkinsburg has been so disengaged. There's a lot of information that a lot of our residents don't know about. And I think I have the passion and drive and energy to go out into the streets and do that engagement. I think the second part would be researching. I love to research our policies, what's going on in the community. I wake up every morning and look at the news, which is sometimes, not a good experience, but it is a useful experience because I get to catch up my community with simplified information, quick links to show them this is what's going on in the community. So while they're sitting at their job on their lunch break, they can just scroll through a little newsletter that updates them, because our residents here, they have to worry about putting food on the table, paying bills, taking care of their family, and don't have a lot of that time. So I think with my research of what's going on, being a part of the council meetings, knowing what policies we're going to pass, and sharing that information along to our community would be vitally important. And I think thirdly, determination to improve our environment just all around is a hugely beneficial skill in every aspect of my life and my career. A lot of people aren't in the environmental world, especially now a lot of Black people are represented in the environmental world. So there's a lot of knowledge I have on, what it takes to improve our sidewalks, what kind of contractors we need to improve our streets. How do we get flooding out of our streets? How do we get a vacant house to not be so discombobulated that is a health hazard and a physical hazard to its neighbors that are around them? There's a lot of policy and terms and programs, funding projects that are around a lot of our infrastructure rebuilding and our climate projects from the White House. As we all see, we get a lot of infrastructure money and climate money here, but people don't know where it's going. They don't know what it can do. They don't know how it can improve their day-to-day life. So I want to be that person that's able to say, hey, all this infrastructure money that we're getting, we can use it to get more people in the whole home repair program, where people can get these $5,000 grants to fix their facades in their home, get lead out of their pipes, get lead out of their paint so their children don't have lead poisoning. This is information that unfortunately is not commonly known in our communities. And I think because I have that information, I'm able to communicate that information to my community. I can be such a valuable asset.
Thank you for watching this video of Pittsburgh Events. To watch this video again or any other video from Pittsburgh Events, you can go to the YouTube channel. It's 18 Ricco. It's youtube.com/18RICCO. Again, thank you for watching, and you can check out this video and any other video from Pittsburgh Events and many other videos that didn't make it on TV.
During my time in my organizing career, I've learned a lot about community issues, and I've talked to so many people all over this county about what issues we're facing. And I found that there was 3 core things that I commonly heard about and commonly had to do with. One of them being knowledge and the information sharing that we have within our community. There are so many people in our community that don't know who's in charge of what, who do they complain to, how laws are passed, how policies are changed, who to complain to about their high bill, does their water company even have a customer assistance programs? Like every meeting that I have, people have so many questions about how the structure of our county even works. Like people don't even know the difference about county council versus our city council, and what does that mean statewide? And that lack of information really takes away from the power of our community. A lot of people not knowing that information means that they don't know who they really actually need to vote for to make a change in that decision. What does it mean to have a new county council member that is representative of, your housing issues or your environmental issues? These are questions that I see a lot of the time. I have residents that come to me and say, well, what resources are there even available? What funding can I even go for? And there's like funding for community projects everywhere, but nobody even knows how to sign up for it. And then the application is just horrendous. There's so many questions, so many details that people are confused on. And I think information sharing within our county has been very minimum or word of mouth. There's no like big media around it, which goes into my second issue that I see, which is collaboration. Our county, because we have so many different boroughs, different townships, we're so fragmented around here that we have these divided governments, we have these conversations that are talking about just one specific community and not the whole county. And we find ourselves like scrambling, trying to get the same resources, trying to get the same money, and trying to solve these countywide issues on such a smaller scale with our boroughs, Wilkinsburg borough being one of them. And I think that with these conversations, even when we had the conversation around the merger, there is possibility of regionalization within our county that could be very beneficial and could be very powerful for a lot of the residents around here, but there is no set plan for that. When people when the city came into Wilkinsburg to talk about, doing a merger or to annex, which annex technically isn't a thing that they can do, people weren't off-put by the actual proposal. They were off-put by the fact that there is a plan that can change their whole community and they don't know anything about it. Residents don't know about it. There's no details on what's going to happen. There's no resources that we can concretely say, hey, this is how it's going to benefit the residents that already live here. It was mainly just like a development plan, like, hey, we're going to build up the commercial district and we're going to fix some houses, which for a vulnerable community just sounds like the beginning of gentrification. So all we asked for was give us a full plan, give us a set plan that says, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to benefit your residents. This is how we're going to spread it out amongst the county and really acknowledge the fact that this has been a community that has been so disinvested in, so disengaged, has been the victim of white flight, has been the victim of so many issues that happen to a lot of our low-income Black communities, that we didn't want to just go out saying, hey, yeah, just do whatever you want. Like there were residents here, there were borough council members here that fought against it to say, hey, we are not stepping away from the table, we just need a plan. And I think that collaboration, knowing how to talk to each other, knowing how to work with each other all across the county can help us make these great strides when it comes to fixing a lot of the issues, because just trying to do it borough by borough or neighborhood by neighborhood is time consuming. It takes up a lot more money and it doesn't really get us a lot farther. So with that goes into actually my third thing that I really am always advocate of, and that is following the money. A lot of the policy that I find, a lot of the issues that I talk about, I find the pathways in them through how the money is being moved within the community, through our government. How is it coming in and being dispersed? Because a lack of resources comes from a lack of money that the communities usually have. A lot of these nonprofits, a lot of people that are trying to help our communities don't have the funding to really support all the needs that we have. Like, just an example, in Clairton, we're trying to, I would say mainly Clean Water Action, partnering with VCAN, which is Valley Clean Air Now, is trying to provide air filters to the community, and they have a long waiting list that they can't fulfill because they don't have enough money to buy enough filters to help residents that are pretty much suffocating most of the time from toxic air that's being polluted into their communities. So a lot of times I try to say, hey, if we're seeing on these big news reports, if we're seeing at our council levels with our annual budgets that there is money to be spent to help our communities, we need to take responsibility of our own to make sure that the people that are voting on these decisions, which is our council people, the people that are in charge of pushing these decisions, which can be our mayors, our governors, all of our lead politicians, making sure that they know we need to be prioritized in that we need to have funding that is allocated to us to solve these issues. And because a lot of our residents, even in the city of Pittsburgh, are just learning about budgets and what they are and how money is being dispersed, a lot of them aren't aware that we aren't getting the resources necessary to make the changes. Like, our streets aren't getting fixed because we don't have money for it to get fixed. We don't even have workers for it to get fixed, which is just a whole nother issue when it comes to trying to bring money into our own communities, because we're not doing a lot of our contracts locally. A lot of our contracts are going out of state. They're going to different counties because they claim that they can't find people locally. So we want to make sure that not only are we following money, but we're bringing money back into the community. And I think that can help us a lot. People should vote for me as Wilkinsburg council member because I have the passion, the will, and the determination to do this job. This is my home, and I love this place more than anything in the world. And I know that I will wake up every morning fighting for it to be better, because that's something that I promised myself even when I was younger. I would walk up and down my streets and see that my community didn't look like everybody else's. It didn't have the nice street lights. It didn't have the stores. We didn't have our local businesses anymore. And it just seemed like every year my community was just getting worse and worse while other communities were getting better. And I wanted to figure out, how do I fix that? And that has been my goal since forever. And I plan on doing that goal for the rest of my life. So I really have the passion to do this for the rest of my life, to really improve my hometown and communities like mine. But I want to start with my community first, because again, this is my home. I care about it. I want to see it to be better. And I want it to be the beautiful place that I've known it to be, and I know it can be.
Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more videos on subjects like this and many other topics. Please leave any comments in the comment section. Any questions or comments, I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.